Jace sat alone in the quiet lab on Luna Station, his fingers still resting on the keyboard, though the screen had long gone dark. Outside the wide glass window, Earth floated like a glowing marble in the black sky. It looked peaceful, beautiful. And far away he sighed. It had been 6 months since Alara left. She was his best friend, his research partner, and the only person who truly understood his dreams. She had been selected for the Deep Space Ambassador program, one of the first humans to travel beyond the solar system. Jace had been proud of her. But he also felt like a part of him had drifted away with her ship. They used to talk every day, laugh in the middle of long experiments, share late-night coffee and silly jokes about alien life. Now he only heard her voice in memory. He had tried sending messages, 1 per week, like clockwork. Updates about his work, small stories from Luna Station, questions like, "Do you still hum while you work?" or "Have you found any weird alien food yet?" But there were no replies. The deep space network was too slow, or maybe too damaged. Or maybe, ... she had moved on. "Why does it hurt like this?" he whispered. He missed her voice, her smile, the way she could tell when he was overthinking things. Without her, the lab felt cold, empty. Jace got up and walked to the window. He pressed his forehead gently against the cool glass. He watched Earth spin slowly, knowing that millions of people lived down there, but the one person he wanted to talk to was far beyond it, somewhere among the stars. He didn't blame her. She had followed her dream. She had done something amazing. That was what humans were supposed to reach, explore, grow. HFY, humanity, F******. Yeah, that was what people called it online. Stories about how humans didn't give up, how they showed aliens what kindness and strength really looked like. He used to love those stories. Now he just felt ... small. But Jace wasn't someone who gave up easily. If Alara had taught him anything, it was that connection was worth fighting for. If it had crossed space, he sat back down and pulled up the code. He had been writing. It was a project they had started together before she left. A translation algorithm designed to understand alien signals. They had joked about it once. "If I meet someone with 10 eyes in a singing language," Alara had laughed, "I'll send you back a love song in their tongue." "Only if it's in tune," he had replied. Now he stared at the incomplete code. He hadn't touched it since she left. Until now, Jace's fingers moved slowly at first, then faster. He cleaned up old lines, added new modules, and tested old simulations. Time passed. Lights in the lab dimmed to night mode, but he didn't stop. Maybe she hadn't answered because she couldn't understand. Maybe alien systems blocked human signals, or scrambled them. Maybe his voice wasn't reaching her because he hadn't learned how to speak her new world's language yet. But he could fix that. He would finish the translator. He would send a message that couldn't be lost in static, not just for her. For all of them, everyone who had left Earth chasing dreams among stars. Everyone who felt alone in the dark. 3 weeks passed. One night, just as he ran another test through the new system, a faint blinking light appeared on the corner of his screen. A signal, not strong, not clear, but different. He stared at it, heart racing. Slowly, he ran it through the translation program. It struggled, paused, then printed 4 simple words on the screen. "Still hum when working." Jace blinked, tears welling in his eyes. "Leia." He stared at the words, not even trying to wipe away his smile. She had heard him. Somehow across millions of kilometers, through damaged channels and alien noise, she had heard him and answered. He didn't know how long it would take to really talk again, but she was out there. And now she knew he was still here, and he'd Jace from Luna Station. Human engineer with a hopeful heart was not giving up, because that's what humanity did. Reach, connect, hope, and thunder. When no one expected it, Lieutenant Aisha Kaur stood on the observation deck of Orbital Station Vega, her arms crossed. As she stared into the endless black, stars dotted the sky like quiet watchers. Somewhere out there was her younger brother Rami. He had always looked up to her. When she joined the space fleet, he'd called her every day. When I grow up, I'm joining too, he had said. They used to talk for hours, even while she trained far from Earth. He would send her news, music, even drawings of the ships he imagined flying someday. Then Rami had moved to the outer colony on Europa Prime, a bold new world for settlers. Aisha was proud of him, but after he left, the calls stopped. The messages came less often, than not at all. She sent her usual cheerful notes. "Miss your silly voice," she'd write. "Tell me about the purple trees you always talked about." But silence was her only reply. Days turned to weeks, weeks to months. She began to wonder, had he changed? Had he outgrown her? She told herself. He was busy, building homes, making friends. But deep inside, she missed him more than she could explain. In space, where silence filled every corner, missing someone felt even louder. "Lieutenant." A soft voice came from behind her. She turned to see Cadet Lena holding a data tablet. "There's a new signal pattern," Lena said, "coming from Europa. Prime's zone. Unusual frequencies." Aisha's heart skipped. She took the tablet and scanned the data. It wasn't standard fleet communication, but it was familiar. Bits of music, scrambled voices, even pieces of an old melody. Her breath caught. That melody. Rami had composed it for her on her birthday years ago. Something simple with a soft beat made using his old keyboard. Only she and Rami knew that tune. She tapped the screen, zoomed in on the waveform, and listened again. It was broken, distorted, but it was him. She closed her eyes. A wave of emotion hit her: sadness, relief, and something else. Hope. Double quotes. "Where did this come from?" she asked. Lena pointed to the chart. An old colony satellite, broken for years. But it suddenly turned on and sent this. Maybe someone fixed it down there. Maybe someone named Rami. Aisha rushed to the communication room. She patched into the main console and opened an old channel they used as kids. It was personal, unofficial, but maybe that's why it would work. She took a deep breath and spoke. "Rami," she said softly. "It's Aisha. I heard your music." No answer, but she kept going. "I'm still here, still looking up at the stars like we used to talk about. If you can hear this, you didn't disappear. I remember every call, every story. I miss you." She paused. "I know we're far apart, but you're still my little brother. That never changes." She hit send. The message drifted across space, like a bottle floating in a dark sea. Later that night, Aisha sat in her room, unable to sleep. She thought about all the things she didn't say. She remembered when Rami cried after their parents left for a distant assignment, and she held him tight. She remembered how he cheered for her graduation, holding up a "Go Big Sister" sign. On a shaky video call the next morning, a message pinged. She opened it with shaking hands. There were only 2 words. "Still humming." She gasped, her hand flying to her mouth. Her eyes filled with tears. He remembered. Aisha laughed, a sound full of joy and disbelief. She typed back quickly, fingers trembling. "Then I'll send you the next verse." For the first time in months, the cold of space didn't feel so lonely. She didn't have a full conversation yet, but those 2 words were enough to crack open the silence, enough to start something again. Aisha returned to her duties with a new energy. She walked the station halls with a soft smile. She even found herself humming rhymed melody while checking ship systems, because that's what humans did. They reached across impossible distances. They didn't give up on love, on family, on connection. Even when they felt lost, they searched. Even in silence, they believed in answers. That was the human way. Faye wasn't just about strength or bravery. It was about hope that traveled faster than light, and Aisha would follow that hope until she heard her brother's voice again. Armin stood alone in the underground garage beneath the Pacific Research Dome. He looked up at the unfinished prototype starship in front of him. The lights were dim. The floor smelled like old coolant and metal dust. The ship was small, not even meant for long travel. It's just a test project he had started with someone who used to mean everything. Zoya. She had been his classmate, partner, and best friend. Together, They dreamed of building a craft that could reach the far moons faster than anyone thought possible. They spent 2 years on the engine design, working after classes and skipping social events just to build. They talked about the stars, like kids talked about fairy tales. But it wasn't just science for them. It was connection. It was trust. Then she got chosen. Zoya was accepted into the Galactic Youth Exchange programs, something only 10 people a year were picked for. Meant leaving Earth for 2 years, living on a research satellite with aliens. Learning, growing. She had cried when she told Armin. "All right," she promised, hugging him every week. He smiled and said, "Go make history." But now it had been 8 months. 1 letter in the beginning, then nothing. No more messages. No more plans. No more shared dreams. He had tried sending updates about the project, sent her images of the progress, videos of the test fires, but there was no reply. Now, the ship sat cold, half-built, like his heart. He walked around it slowly, his fingers brushing the smooth hull. He could almost hear Zoya's voice, teasing him about his overly neat welding lines. He sat on a workbench and stared at his dusty tablet. Her last message was still open. "The stars are beautiful, but Earth feels far. Miss your voice. It's the sound of our ship under construction. I hope we finish it someday, Zoya." Swallowed hard. "I miss you too," he whispered. Outside, wind howled through the dome's vents, a soft reminder that even on Earth, loneliness could be loud. But Armin wasn't ready to give up. If he had learned anything from watching humans build cities in deserts, grow food on moons, and teach peace to old enemies, it was this. Hope doesn't vanish. It waits. It flickers like a small flame, and if you feed it, it grows again. He stood up. Maybe Zoya couldn't write back. Maybe alien systems blocked human communication. Maybe she was waiting too. What if the only way to reach her again was to finish what they started? He took a breath and rolled up his sleeves. It was time to work. Armin stayed in the garage for the next 4 days. He slept in a cot by the wall, ate protein bars and drank recycled water. He updated the ship's energy matrix, recalibrated the gravity coils, and hand-checked every wire she had helped him install. Even fixed the old speaker system and played Zoya's favorite playlists while he worked. Old Earth songs. Simple and emotional. Songs about dreaming and daring. One night, while he tested the engine, a soft alert blinked on his monitor. It wasn't a full message, just a signal. But it matched Zoya's personal frequency, faint. Pulse barely detectable, sent from the outer edge of Earth's communication reach. He ran a diagnostic. Checked again, it was real. His hand shook as he activated the ship's newcom array. He opened a blank message screen and typed, "Still building. Still waiting. Still believe." He sent it. Then he waited. Nothing. Came back that night, or the next. But the third morning, just as the sun lit the dome through the thick glass ceiling, a tiny message arrived. 4 words, "Don't stop. I won't." Armin sat down hard on the floor, a smile spreading across his face. She was out there, she remembered. She still believed in them. He stood again, heart full. He didn't know when she would come back. He didn't know if they would ever finish the ship together. But he knew one thing for sure. Humans never let distance break connection. They built through silence. They worked through loneliness. They didn't stop because something was hard or far away. They were builders of hope. And now, so was he. Myra stood at the edge of the observation platform on Titan Station, watching Saturn's golden rings spin in silence. The icy wind blew across the landing deck, even through the station's shield dome. She wrapped her arms around herself, trying to stay warm, but it wasn't just the cold she felt. It was the distance. Somewhere far beyond those rings, her father was traveling. Captain Theo Jameson, the first human to lead a mission into deep unknown space. He was bold, brilliant, and kind. To the rest of the galaxy, he was a hero. But to Mira, he was simply Dad. He had raised her after her mother passed away, told her bedtime stories about faraway stars, and taught her how to fix old machines. He used to say, One day, you'll build something greater than anything I could fly. But then he left. Chosen for the Interstellar Pathbreaker program, a 10-year mission. No guaranteed contact, it's just silence and the hope that he'd return. One day, in the beginning, she had sent him weekly voice messages, jokes, updates, things about school and her first internship on Titan Station. At first, she got short messages back. Proud of you. Keep building. I miss our breakfasts. Then ... nothing. A year passed. Now Mira walked through the hangar, doing her job as a technician, fixing small scout crafts and running system checks. But her heart was always elsewhere. She missed him so much. Every time she passed a quiet engine, room or heard the hum of plasma drives, she remembered his stories, his voice. Some nights, she sat by the small comms terminal in her room, staring at the empty inbox. She didn't cry anymore, but her chest still ached. Maybe he's just too far. She whispered once to her friend Nico, maybe he doesn't even know how much I still need him. Nico had tried to comfort her, but Myra knew he didn't. Fully understand, how could he? She had started to believe that the stars had taken her father and would never return him. But humans never gave up, not truly. And Mira was her father's daughter. One morning, the station received a strange signal. A weak, repeated pulse, bouncing from the edge of the solar system. Nothing matched its signature. It wasn't a threat, but it was unknown. The higher-ups marked it as low priority. Too weak. Probably space noise. But Myra didn't forget it. She secretly took a copy of the signal data and studied it during her breaks. She checked waveforms, time codes, and patterns. She even ran it through an old program her father had once built for her to help detect rhythm and frequencies. Late one night, the screen lit up with a decoded result. A short burst. 3 tones. A pause. Then 3 more. It was a pattern, and Mira knew exactly what it was. It was their code. When she was little, her dad had taught her how to tap on walls using a made-up rhythm. 3 short taps, pause, 3 short taps. It meant I'm here. She stared at the screen in shock. Her hands shook. It was him. He was alive, sending the only message he could. She sent a reply signal, matching the rhythm back, over and over. Each transmission bounced off moons and relays until it vanished into the dark. She didn't know if he would hear it, but she hoped. For days, she kept working. She didn't tell anyone. This was their connection. A private thread of love stretched across stars. 1 week later, a reply came. This time, the message wasn't just rhythm. It was a full audio file. Mira clicked play. Her father's voice, tired but warm, came through. Mira, I received your tap. Still flying. Still believe. So proud of you. I miss our breakfasts, too. She covered her mouth, tears falling down her cheeks, but her smile shining through. She whispered, I found you. And suddenly, the silence of space didn't feel empty anymore, because humans, no matter how far apart, find each other. They don't stop searching. They don't forget. They build signals from static, bridges from hope, messages from heartbeats. That's what makes them strong. That's what makes them human. HFY humanity forever, yes. Leo sat quietly inside the comms room on the orbital ship Hopebound. The lights were low, and the soft hum of machines surrounded him like a blanket. He had been staring at the same blank transmission screen for an hour. Still no response. He looked down at the worn patch sewn onto his uniform. United Earth Communications Officer was a title he had worked hard for. But today, it felt meaningless. All he could think about was Sam. Sam had been his best friend since training academy. The two of them had planned everything together. Same study schedule, same dream to serve on a deep space vessel, and even matching tattoos. Tiny stars on their wrists. So we'll never forget where we're going, Sam had said. They laughed. About exploring the unknown, mapping new systems, talking to aliens. But when Sam was offered a mission to a newly discovered system in the Zeta Quadrant, things changed. "I have to go," Sam said one night, right before boarding the long-range vessel Pathfinder. "It's the chance of a lifetime." Leo had smiled and nodded. "I know, I'm proud of you." But inside, he felt something break. After Sam left, Leo tried to stay busy, got assigned to Hopebound, which orbited near Earth. It was an honor, but it felt hollow. He sent messages every few days, little updates, memories, even jokes. But there was never a reply. Everyone said the Pathfinder was too far out. Messages could take months to arrive and longer to return, if they returned at all. Still, Leo waited, hoped. Every evening, after finishing his shift, he would come to the comms room and send another message. He didn't say much anymore, just for words, "Still here, miss you." And then he would sit, watching the stars. One night, the stars seemed especially quiet. He sat back in his chair, feeling more alone than usual. "Why am I doing this?" he asked aloud. The computer didn't answer. Only the blinking lights filled the silence. Leo looked at the screen and thought of Sam, how they used to laugh during late-night drills, how they built paper rockets as kids. How Sam always believed that distance couldn't break friendship. He wanted to believe it too. But tonight, the hope felt thin. Suddenly, a soft tone chimed. Leo sat up. Incoming transmission. Detected. His heart raced. He tapped the screen. The message was faint, buried under layers of cosmic noise. He cleaned the signal, enhanced the sound, and played it. A voice came through, crackled, quiet but real. "Leo, still have our stars." He froze. It was Sam. Tears filled his eyes as he looked at the tiny tattoo on his wrist. He pressed reply. "Still do, always." For a few seconds, he didn't move. Then he laughed, the sound shaky but full of life. Sam was alive, still out there, still remembering. He saved the audio and replayed it again. The voice was tired, but filled with warmth. Leo felt something return. To his chest, something he thought he had lost. Purpose. Sam wasn't gone. They were just far apart. And distance. Distance couldn't stop what they had built. He stood, a smile breaking across his face. "I knew you'd find a way," he whispered. The next morning, Leo went back to work with new energy. He trained younger officers, fixed old relay links, and even started writing a full letter to send Sam something more than a few short words. Because humans, even in the darkest, coldest parts of space, never stopped trying. They waited, they reached, they believed, even if years passed. Even if the signals got lost, they kept sending them anyway. That was the heart of humanity. Not just power or progress, but the simple, quiet hope that someone somewhere was still listening, and that one day, they would answer. Asterisk Kayla crouched inside her greenhouse domon, the Mars frontier, carefully brushing dust off the leaves of her moonflowers. The plants glowed with soft blue light, their petals opening in response to her gentle touch. They were beautiful, but today she didn't smile. She had been tending the dome alone for months. Her partner Jonah had been transferred to a science vessel called Aurora's Wing, assigned to explore strange readings near the edge of the solar system. He had left with a smile and a long hug. "I'll be back before your seedlings bloom," he promised, brushing a strand of hair from her face. "Save a spot for me in the garden?" But that had been 243 Earth days ago. The moonflowers had bloomed, twice, and he hadn't come back. Kayla sent him messages every few days. Sometimes a picture of the garden, sometimes just a note. Still here, still blooming. No response. Her friends on Mars base said to be patient. Space was wide. Messages bounced across old satellites and sometimes got lost. Jonah's ship might be too far to reach, but Kayla didn't stop waiting. The greenhouse was silent, except for the soft hum of the heaters. She looked at the newest moonflower, bright, tall, strong, and her heart ached. She missed him more than words could say. He wasn't just her partner. He was her balance, her laughter, the one who made the red planet feel like home. Now, every corner of the dome felt colder without his presence. She still talked to the plants like he used to tease. Herfor still kept his favorite mug by the water tank, still watched the stars at night, hoping for some kind of sign. One day, while checking the sensor box near the back wall, Kayla noticed a strange rhythm in the data stream. Not harmful, not official, but strange. It repeated, faint steady. Tones, pause. 2 tones. Long pause. Then again, she blinked. That pattern? She remembered it. It was the signal they had created together before Jonah left. A secret code, like tapping fingers on glass. It meant, "Are you okay?" She ran to the com station, heart pounding. She replayed the sound and compared it to old logs. It was new. Jonah was trying to reach her. He was alive. She wiped her eyes quickly and opened a reply channel. But what could she say? What if he couldn't hear words? She opened a small power relay and rerouted a signal through the greenhouse lights. Then she programmed the dome's control system to blink. The lights in response to his pattern. Her message blinked 3 short lights, then a long glow. Still okay. Miss you. It wasn't much, but it was a start. She waited. Hours passed. Then another signal came. This one was different. A new pattern. One they hadn't used before. She rushed to decode it. When she saw the translation, she gasped and smiled. Saw the moonflowers. He was watching. Systems. Jonah had seen the images she sent. Maybe not in real time, maybe not clearly, but he had seen them. Kayla sat on the greenhouse floor. Surrounded by glowing petals, her heart full, she looked up at the dusty red sky. Through the dome, "Jonah," she whispered, "you saw them? You're still with me?" That night, she planted a new flower, a special one. She placed it in the center, under the tallest dome light, and she programmed the light to pulse every night in their signal rhythm. Because maybe he was watching. Maybe he would see. And even if he couldn't reply again, he would know she was still waiting, still blooming, still loving him, because that's what humans did. They didn't let silence break their hearts. They didn't stop planting even when the ground was cold. They sent hope like seeds into the dark and trusted it would grow. HFY. Humanity's strength wasn't only in ships or speed, it was in small lights blinking through space, in gardens planted, on dry soil, in the belief that someone out there still cared and would one day return home. Levi stood near the edge of the asteroid field, inside a quiet lookout station orbiting Ceres. He wore his old Earth pilot jacket even though it was too warm for it inside. He just liked how it felt like something real in a life that had grown. Too quiet. He looked out the window, past the rocks, toward the deep space beyond. That was where June had gone. 2 years ago, they had both worked together on Earth's underground launch team. Jin was sharp, funny, and always full of ideas. They had built small scout probes side by side. They'd shared tea during long shifts and walked under the fake stars of Earth's light domes. Levi had never told Jun how he truly felt. He thought he had time. But then Jun was chosen for a critical deep space mission, a hyperspace pathfinder program beyond the edge of known space. "I'll only be gone for a few months," June had said with a hopeful smile. "Then I'll come back with maps no one's ever seen." That was 27 months ago. No messages came. The ship's path went too far from Earth's signal range. Levi had sent one message every month anyway, always the same ending. Still here? Still waiting. No reply ever came. Levi felt like a thread had been cut from his chest, like something important had drifted away and he couldn't reach it. He spent his days maintaining the stations, scanners, and solar panels. At night, he sat near the wide window, watching the stars. Some people said he should move on, that maybe Chin's ship had been lost, but Levi didn't believe that. Jen was out there. He could feel it in his bones. One day, while scanning old satellite debris, Levi found something strange. A piece of junk metal was sending a repeating pulse. It wasn't part of any known beacon. The signal was weak, garbled, but still working. Levi's heart jumped. It was in a pattern he recognized. It was Morse code, Not official Earth's military code, but personal. And inside the signal were 3 words: following starlight path. Jun. Levi almost dropped the tablet. He replayed the signal 10 times. It was real. It was recent. Somehow, Jen had bounced a message off a drifting relay satellite, maybe. The only way to reach back from deep space, Jun was alive, trying to get home. Levi stared at the screen, emotions crashing into his chest. He opened a return channel and quickly typed, "Jun, I got your message. I knew you were still out there. Earth is changing. We're building again. I never stopped thinking of you. Follow the path home. I'll keep the light on." He sent it through the same satellite, adjusting the path to match the original beam. Then he waited. Every few hours, he returned to the console, eyes scanning for even a flicker of reply. Finally, 3 days later, something blinked. This time, it wasn't a message, it was a photo. Blurry, but clear enough. A cockpit window, showing stars from a strange angle. And pinned to the console was a folded note, handwritten. It said, "Home is waiting." Levi smiled so hard it hurt. He pressed his forehead to the glass and let out a long breath. He felt the distance shrink in his heart. Jun wasn't gone. Jun was finding the way back. Hope filled him like sunlight. He walked to the maintenance bay and rewired the station's long-range beacon. He adjusted the light panel, redirecting its beam toward Chen's last known direction. It would blink once every hour, bright enough to be seen across millions of kilometers. It was Levi's answer. His way of saying, "You're not alone. Come home." Each night, the beacon pulsed into the dark, and Levi waited. But now, he waited with joy in his chest and fire in his soul, because that's what humanity did. Even in silence, even when lost, they reached. They waited. They believed. They built stars out of signal lights and never gave up. Yara stood in the center of the launch bay, her hand resting on the cold railing as the crew prepared for the next mission. Ships hummed quietly in their docks, their lights blinking like calm stars. Around her, people moved. Quickly, pilots, engineers, and scientists. It's all part of Earth's secret return to the galaxy. But Yara didn't move. Her eyes stayed locked on the main ship, the one with the silver wings. That was the ship Kai had left on. He had been her closest friend, her only family, since the dark days on Earth's broken surface. They had grown up in the shelter cities, sharing meals, sharing books, even sharing dreams. Kai had always talked about exploring the stars. "We're not meant to hide," he used to say. "Earth is strong. One day we'll fly again." Yara didn't like space, but she liked listening to him. His voice was always full of hope, always brave, always sure. Then one day Kai was selected. For Earth's first outreach mission, he left without hesitation, full of excitement. "I'll be back soon," he had said with a smile. "And when I return, we'll go together." But that was a year ago. She had heard nothing since. The mission was top secret. No updates. No news. No signal. And now, even though Earth was building again if no ships flew daily and hope was returning, Yara still felt like she had been left behind. Her heart ached every time she walked past the empty seat in the mess hall. Every time she saw a pilot in Kai's old jacket. Every time she looked up at the stars and wondered where he was, she missed him more than she could say. That night, she sat alone in the garden dome, where vines curled around metal. Beams and tiny flowers grew in the corners. She took out her old notebook and flipped to the page. Kai had once drawn a sketch of Earth with wings. She touched the paper gently. "You promised you'd come back." Then she closed her eyes and whispered to the stars, "I wish I could reach you." Suddenly, the lights in the dome flickered. Yara looked up. A quiet alarm had been triggered from the communications tower. She ran to the control. Room .1 technician sat by the signal board, puzzled. "We picked up a faint beacon," he said.
"Not from any known fleet. Encrypted? Might be a glitch."
Yara stepped closer. She stared at the signal. Her eyes widened. She recognized the codite was Kai's old training ID. Her heart raced. "It's not a glitch," she said. "It's him." She opened the transmission file. Static filled the screen, but then, slowly a shaky video appeared. "Kai, His hair was longer, his face thinner, but his eyes were bright. "Yara," he said, voice weak but smiling. "If this reaches you, I found them. There are other colonies. Hidden. Like us. They need help. But I'm coming home." The screen went black. YARA stood frozen for a moment. Then she whispered, "He's alive." She turned to the technician. "Get me a secure line. I'm sending a message back." She sat at the console and typed quickly. "Kai, I got your message. You did it. You found them. Earth is rising. The fleet is ready. I'm still here. I never stopped believing. I'll be waiting when you return. Then we'll fly together." She sent the message through every open channel, bouncing it across satellites and relay towers. Then she walked back to the dome and looked up at the stars. Something had changed. She no longer felt forgotten. Hope filled her chest like air after a long breath. Kai had kept his promise, and now, so would she, because that was what it meant to be human. To believe, even when the sky was quiet. To wait, even when hearts felt heavy. To rise again, not just with ships and fire, but with love and light and unshakable faith. Earth had returned, and soon would he.